Hello children, how are you? I hope you all are doing well and studying well. So children, now that we have spoken about ourselves, we have spoken about plants, we have spoken about animals, we have spoken about the activities of humans, we have spoken about the first aid, we have spoken about so many different things, isn't it? Now let's go into a different world. Yes, let's talk about the space. Let's talk about the moon. Let's talk about the satellites and also the eclipses in this chapter. Alright, so we're going to talk about the satellites, the moon, the phases of the moon, eclipses and artificial satellites in this chapter. Okay, so before we start, we know that certain planets, they have their own satellites. The moon that we see at night, it is the satellite of the earth. And these satellites, they actually revolve around the planets, okay, and they get light and heat from the sun. So they are also a very important part of the solar system. Okay. So experimental learning, you have to write the names of each planet of the solar system. Okay. Think about it and write from the distance from the sun. Okay. Based on that, which planets start. So satellites, they are nothing but heavenly bodies that revolve around their own planet. So they are revolving around their own planet, like moon. Okay, it revolves around earth, okay, which is its planet. So moon is the planet of earth. Likewise, every planet have their own moons, and moon is the satellite of earth. Okay. Now the solar system, it has 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Among them, some planets like Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, they have their satellites. Okay. The planets like Mercury and Venus, they do not have any satellites of their own. They do not have any moons, okay, because perhaps they are very close to the sun, and that is the reason why they do not have their own satellite. Now, these planets, okay, they revolve around their own planets only. Alright, these satellites which are there, the other ones, okay, the other planets that have their satellites, okay, those satellites, they revolve around their own planet. Okay, like the moon, that is, Earth has one moon, okay, that is the satellite of Earth. It revolves around the Earth. Okay. The moon, it is the satellite of the planet Earth, and you will see this in this picture out here. Moon is orbiting around the Earth. Now moon, it is a natural object. It is the satellite of the Earth and it revolves around the Earth. Moon, it is nothing but it is mostly made up of rocks. The surface of the moon is not plain, it is dry, it is dusty, it is covered with mountains and it is covered with craters. Craters, they are huge ditches that were formed because meteorites, okay, they crashed on the moon's surface. Okay. So, they were like ditches or pits, we can say, that because of the meteorites that crashed on the moon's surface. Now, moon, it is about quarter the size of the earth. So, earth is huge and moon is just 1/4 of it. Okay. Its diameter is about 3,500 kilometers. So, there is no atmosphere on the moon. It is very hot where the sunshine falls, and during the daytime the average surface temperature is more than 100 degrees Celsius. So, that means it is so hot. Okay. At night the temperature reduces, it falls to about minus 133 degrees Celsius. Alright. Now, what is the average distance of the moon from the earth? Okay, so the average distance between the moon and the earth is about 3,84,400 kilometers. Now, moon's gravity, okay, it pulls the planet Earth towards it. So, because of the gravity that the moon has, Earth is always, it pulls the Earth towards it, and the gravity, its gravity is too weak to affect the whole planet Earth. However, it does make the water on Earth move. So, moon makes the water on Earth move, and that is how tides take place. Okay. It pulls the water on Earth towards it, causing high tides and low tides in seas and oceans. So, because of the gravity of the moon, okay, over water, it leads to high tides and low tides. Okay. So, moon has 2 types of movements, just like the way earth has. rotation and revolution. Moon revolves around the earth and it takes about the moon about 27 days to make one trip around the earth. The moon also rotates about its own axis, just like the way earth rotates around its own axis and also around the sun. So, similarly, moon rotates around earth and also on its own, it revolves around its own axis also. So, it completes one rotation in about 27 days. The same time it takes to complete one revolution. So, it completes one rotation as well as one revolution in 27 days, and that is the reason why we see the same side of the moon every day. Okay. So, does not mean that we are the side of the moon is changing like we have day and night, okay, because of the rotation of the earth. That does not happen with the moon. Okay, we see the same side of the moon. Now, moon has different phases. This 27 days it leads to different types of phases of the moon. Okay, when we view the moon from the earth, it looks different at different times. These varying appearances of the moon, they are known as the phases of the moon. Sometimes the moon looks full, okay. At other times it appears only like a slice, a very thin slice, okay, or looks and sometimes it's completely dark, you don't see the moon in the sky. However, the moon's shape, okay, does not change. It just looks that way from the earth. Okay, so the moon's shape does not change, it looks like that from the earth. Okay, the moon, it reflects the light from the sun. As the moon is orbiting around the earth, okay, the sun shines on different parts of the moon, and that is the reason why it causes the phases also, and it also causes that the illuminated part of the moon is visible from the earth. So, on the part of the moon where the light of the sun falls, okay, during its rotation is when we can see the moon. Okay, that is how it works. All right. Now, we know you must have heard about eclipses. Okay, you must have heard about your parents and all saying that, oh, there is eclipse, do not go out and all. So, what are these eclipses? Now, as we all know, sun, it is the main source of our light. Okay, whereas the earth and the moon, they are opaque objects, okay, which are made up of solid rocks. So, opaque object means an object which is through which nothing can pass. Okay, it is not transparent, it is not translucent, or light cannot pass through those objects. So, when the earth and the moon, they come in the way of the sun's light. Okay, so when the earth and the moon, they come in between the sun's light, okay, they block the light, and hence what happens is when the light gets blocked, what happens, children? When the light gets blocked, shadow is casted. Okay, so that casts a shadow. This event causes an eclipse to happen. So, what happens during a lunar eclipse? So, a lunar eclipse occurs on a full moon night. So, whenever there is a full moon night, okay, that time is when the lunar eclipse appears, and that time, okay, the earth, it comes between the sun and the moon. If they are in the straight line, if the earth, sun and the moon, they are in the same line, okay, and that time, okay, the earth, so you have the sun on one side, you have the moon on the other side, and you have the earth, okay, that comes in between the sun and the moon, and they all are in the straight line. The earth blocks the light from reaching the moon, it blocks the sun's light from reaching the moon. Okay, so in other words, the earth casts a shadow on the moon, causing a lunar eclipse. Now, when the moon is completely in the shadow of the earth, it is called a total lunar eclipse. As the moon revolves around the earth, it moves away, and sometimes only a part of it is hidden by the shadow of the earth, and it is known as the partial lunar eclipse. So, there are two types of lunar eclipse, one when the moon is completely in the shadow of the earth. So, it is completely covered, that is total lunar, and when it is partially covered, it is known as partial lunar eclipse. Now, this next one is the solar eclipse. Now, solar eclipse occurs when the moon that comes in between the earth and the sun, if they are in the straight line. Okay, so if they are in the straight line, the moon, it blocks out the sunlight from reaching the earth. In other words, the moon casts a shadow on earth which causes solar eclipse. If the sun is completely hidden, okay, it is called total solar eclipse. So, in the lunar eclipse, the moon is hidden, okay, because earth is coming between. However, in solar eclipse, what happens is the moon, okay, it comes in between the earth and the sun, and over here the moon blocks the sunlight from reaching the earth, and that's when the moon is casting a shadow on the earth and results in a solar eclipse. If the sun is completely hidden, it is total solar eclipse, and if it is partially hidden, then it is a partial solar eclipse. Okay, now there are certain satellites which are sent to the universe, okay, to the space. Okay, these are known as the artificial satellites. Okay, now these artificial satellites, artificial means they are man-made, they are made by us, they are not natural. So they are sent to the space in order to gather the information about the planets and in order to gather the information about all these celestial bodies. Okay, so artificial satellites, they are designed for various purposes, such as they help us in the monitoring of the weather, forecasting of the weather, telecommunication, scientific research, and also for space exploration. All right. So, I hope children now you know a little more about the outer space. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Satellites, they are small heavenly bodies that revolve around the planets. Moon, it's the satellite of the earth. Varying appearances of the moon every night, they are called the different phases of the moon. When the earth and the moon come in the line of the sun, one blocks the sunlight falling on the other, and thus eclipses they are caused. When the earth blocks the sun's light reaching on the earth, it causes solar eclipse. Okay? Now, there are artificial satellites which are made by man and sent to the outer space in order to collect information and then send them to earth. All right. So, children, now quickly reread this chapter and get on to the back exercises. Get going.